tonight. You are next week.
And I'll make an announcement that this is the monthly meeting of the Northwest Mesh group on Zoom, and we have President Phil KC, K6HSV, myself, John KI7YRA, Tom N7OEP, and Steve N7LNX. There's 4 of us present. So if anyone would like to jump in with any kind of a status report, he'll be most welcome.
I can report I've done nothing.
You've done nothing. So if you
I
could
still
do
have
something,
I still have this radio that Randy recommended for us. That the last month I talked about. I couldn't get it to. I flashed it, but it won't let me get into the configuration screens. It keeps saying, I don't know, something I don't remember what it says now. It's been a while, and I promised by this month that I would have. And I think it was our friend in New Jersey who was currently in North Carolina or something on a summer place, said go check the nightly builds. He thought there might have been an update for that, and I just haven't been able to get there yet. So the status is the same as last month.
Okay. Steve, do you have anything you'd like to report?
Negative.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Phil, how is the situation where you are?
I don't have much to say either. We've been trying to get some communications going. It's been unsuccessful so far. Within the next couple of months, I'm going to try something again and see what happens. It looks like there's some nodes coming up that are headed north from the Willamette Valley AREDN group. So I'm going to see if we can't connect to that. But I've tried to work with Mark, but WKB7RYY, but he's disappeared. So I don't know what's going on.
Try to pull up the Arden map just to see if we can see something that would indicate we have some new activity. Let's see. Pull up the live map. I'm going to share the screen. So do you guys see that?
Oh, it says screen sharing has started. There we go.
Yes.
Okay. I was clicking around on this map and I was seeing things I didn't recognize. Let's see. Sometimes this thing, it takes a while for it to respond to my, it takes a time to respond to my mouse thing, and it gets confusing. So I was gonna think this was the one that okay, so this is Seattle South College W7AW, and then there's another node here, W7ACS Seattle South College. Has that been there for a while, Tom?
One's W7ACS, I think the other was W7AW. So I'm pretty sure that the W7AW one is not there, because I think that's one of the radios that I have here.
So why is it being reported by the Arden map?
Somebody probably said it's there, but it's not physically. I mean, I don't think that it actually takes it off air as an RF signal and says here it is. I think somebody registers. I think somebody registers that we're putting it there. But so it's interesting that it shows a firmware version, so I don't know. That's very interesting. Because I have that radio sitting right here. I'm looking at it. So
maybe I can add to that. The person who has the site logs on to Arden and puts himself on the map. It stays there until you go in and take it off.
Oh, it's static.
Interesting. Because isn't that a pretty recent firmware version? 322.8
shows me in Reading, and I left there 5 years ago.
Oh, so you left a trail.
You forgot to turn the lights out when you left.
So this is so
that
it's in
is
blue.
Nick. And
So
see,
it's
he's got the
blue.
same firmware. Blue is a different band.
Yeah, he's on a
So-
different band, so he wouldn't be able to communicate with.
I don't think he's on a different band. I think he probably just
Oh,
put it in. That's a CP210. That's not a CP310. So I don't think they make a CP310,
That's weird.
but a 210 is definitely a 2 gig radio.
Yeah.
so that's a missing.
So yeah, he probably just clicked the wrong band. He's a new guy.
Yeah, and this is the one that you can get a. Well, shoot, I hate
That's
that.
probably Beacon Tower.
Yeah, it is. I was just going to say we can actually look at the status report on the beacon because there's a.
If it'll quit jumping around on you.
Yeah, it's just that my mouse. I've got this. I keep swapping out mice because they're all crappy, and I keep thinking I can find. I have so many mice. I figure, well, one of them's got to work, but they all get quirky on me, so I got to order some new mice.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
If you have a wireless mouse giving you trouble, and that little thing that listens to the signal is plugged into a USB thing that, it's like many ports on it,
Yeah.
put a piece of cable on it and suspend the receiver off a ways. I had that trouble driving me nuts. And once I got
Okay.
that receiver up about 2 feet, it stopped.
If you've
So
got
you
a
put-
Wi-Fi radio in the laptop, yeah, the Wi-Fi dongle for the mouse will get the radios will interfere with each other. They're too close. Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
So how do you do that? You put it. You like
Just
a
get a
cable.
USB extension cable.
Yeah, I
Extension
got a
cable.
USB extension cable and hung it up over the monitor and it works fine.
Oh, so what's causing the interference?
Beats me.
If you got a Wi-Fi radio in the laptop, that little USB dongle is
Oh.
probably also Wi-Fi, and they're on
Okay,
the
there's
same.
two Wi-Fi's, and yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're just colliding with each other. It's like
That's-
doubling on a repeater on the net check-ins. You know what that sounds like, Mr. Net Control.
What?
When two people try to check in at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what that sounds like. It's just
Yeah.
noise and garble and gurgle, and so imagine your mouse and your computer trying to do the same thing at the same time. Doesn't
So
sound
this
good.
is what we have on the beacon. It looks pretty active. Well,
No
let's
kidding.
see.
Current neighbors, 4.
Or
Kurt? The EOC, and the other ones are pretty weak, so they're probably on the verge of not really being there.
that's Kurt right there, isn't it?
Yep. And I can see him directly. Him and Ken are the only two that I can see directly, and Ken sometimes up and down. So.
I don't have a clue who these guys are.
Yep, those are just IP addresses until they get resolved. And at that low signal level, you probably will never resolve them.
Previous neighbors. So Steve, you're not reaching the beacon?
No,
I don't think Steve would see it directly. There's a big bunch of dirt in the way. Steve's down by Lincoln Park.
So these are the
So he's got to get through like California Avenue and 35th and Puget Ridge. He's got 3 piles of dirt to get through.
I'm interested in the fact that it's getting all these remotes.
Well, those are all people on tunnel.
Oh, these are tunnels. Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I see tunnel. Yeah, tunnel. Yeah, okay. They're all tunneling in. They're all tunneling to where though?
Well, there's a server at the EOC, and it can be connected to another server someplace else, and so one
So,
tunnel leads to another.
So they call that a network.
Yes, they do.
Okay. That's what's going on there. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything else. I guess that was the one thing that
Yeah, we'll have to get a hold of Nick and tell him to change his frequency band. So maybe he likes being blue. I don't know.
So there was I did send out a KD70K.
That's
Yeah.
Doug Kingston.
Yeah, I think it was Doug. He sent out an email saying he was getting a ping off of from where he was, and he wasn't trying to find out who it was.
No,
I
that
sent
was
out-
Barry. Barry
Oh,
was
Barry.
he was just getting a MAC address, and it didn't show the SSID as Arden Mesh. It was some other SSID, but it was on our channel -2, and it looked like he was using Arden firmware in whatever it was, but he wasn't sending out his call sign or anything like that. So
Where's Barry located?
he's on Queen Anne Hill, I believe, or Magnolia. Queen Anne, I think.
So they don't. He's not listed.
He's not on the map. He probably hasn't registered.
Okay. Do we know who this guy is?
Call sign KB4 YFK. I do not know. A GL150 isn't it the little dongle you plug into the side of your laptop?
GL150.
Is good for like 300 feet, if that.
Yeah, it's very small.
Yeah.
And this guy is. You know this guy?
KJ7RGN. I do not know him. He's got an older firmware version.
And we know this guy because he keeps trying to get in.
Oh, Jim.
He says he can see our high point, but he can't read. He can't hit it.
Yeah. I rebooted that today, by the way, when I replaced the network cable.
Oh, okay. Is anybody? I know there's been some discussion about. Damn, I hate this. Making some improvements. This thing has a mind of its own. It's making some improvements in some of the on California or.
Yeah, if we could get the two Brookdale places to be reliable, that would help. I think part of the problem is they're plugged into outlets up on the roof, for air conditioning service technicians to use, and those usually have a GFI type outlet. So if you plug a 3-prong cord into it and the cord gets wet, it'll trip the circuit breaker on the outlet and shut the power off.
Oh man!
So I told Ron to use a 2-wire extension cord for those. So that shouldn't cause a problem.
So that won't trigger the fault condition.
No, because what trips those typically is a current difference. If there's current flowing on the ground, or the current between the hot and the neutral is not equal, they typically will trip.
Even though the 2-prong is less safe,
yeah, there's only the current can only come out one hole and back in the other. It doesn't have a third path, so
yeah,
it's usually a balance. The hot and neutral usually have the same current flow going through them. So I think they're like if it's 4 or 5 milliamps flows on the ground, it'll trip.
5.
So I had a friend that had that issue with his Christmas lights. He had Christmas lights in his bush, and he fed them with a grounded cord. I told him to use a 2-wire cord that stopped tripping his outlet.
So Phil, you had your hand up?
Yeah, 5 milliamps is it.
Yep. Okay. I knew it was somewhere around there.
So let's refresh my memory. Which let's see, this is one of the sites that needs to be upgraded?
That's Provident Mount St. Vincent. That's the one that I've got the radio for and the sector antenna, and that's the radio that I flashed with the Arden firmware. And once I flashed it, I could not get into the configuration screen. When I click on any of the buttons, there's a message that pops up, and I don't recall exactly what it is. Something about server not found or something like that. And so
that's the one that has that one has an upgrade. There's supposed to be an upgrade for that.
Well, gosh, what's his name? John on the East Coast.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Anyway,
Mark.
He said, "Yeah, Mark. Yeah,
Mark.
He said to check the nightly builds and see if there's an updated version for that particular radio." because when I went in, I looked in the archives to find a previous version, and there wasn't one. It was just the latest build was the only version that they listed that radio. So I was hoping to maybe find an older version that would work.
I'll go back.
Yeah, because
Go
I've done
back
that in the
and-
past. I'll put in I'll get a new radio and put in the latest and greatest, and it doesn't seem to work properly. So I'll go back in the archives and find a previous version and get it to work with that, and then upgrade it later. But
How about Brookdale? Is
I
anything
think the
going
two
on?
I think the two Brookdales were. I know that. I think it was. I don't know if I think it was Ron. Ron and Nick went to visit one of those sites. I think maybe it was the Admiral one. So that one should be back on the air.
Yeah.
I didn't see a report in the email chain of. I saw that they were meeting up on a certain day at a certain time, but I didn't see an outcome. So I don't know if that was resolved or not. And I know Ron's pretty busy with moving to the new place down there on Alaska. So
Yeah, he's getting harder to get
Yeah.
a hold of.
yeah,
What about
but I think
Seattle?
once it gets pretty much moved, I think they're still going to have the residents up here as well. But I think once he gets the majority of the process done, he'll be a little bit more contactable, accessible.
And he's got that contract too, the VA contract.
Yes, that's true too.
Fly
He's still-
all over the place. Anything
still
on
doing
Seattle
that.
Admiral? Seattle, is that that site?
That's the
Thank you.
Brookdale that him and Nick
That's
visited in the last week or two. Yeah, that's Brookdale Admiral. Then there's Brookdale Alaska, I think, which is that's Ken. That should be Mount St. Vincent. Oh, that's the other one, Brookdale Admiral. So I don't know what the status is on that one. That's another one that I think is the one that power supply got wet and it tripped the outlet. And I think he replaced it, but he's still using a 3-wire cord. King 5 is having technical difficulties during the football game.
This is
I-
the worst
gotta-
I've ever seen, Tom.
I
The
got
worst.
I got a text earlier from Jonathan saying that King 5's image has been frozen for the last 10 minutes. So I
Right.
flipped over because I was watching another channel because it was just pregame stuff that the game hadn't started yet. So I flipped over there and looking at it, and I started typing back to Jonathan saying, "Well, I don't know. It could be they've lost their link between studio and the transmitter site up on Queen Anne or something." And then
No,
right
they-
at that moment, I sent the text. The image came on, and I sent back to Jonathan. There, I fixed it.
They fired everyone.
Yeah,
They're
well,
controlled out of Tampa. So
Well,
there's no one in,
they'll
there's
get
no
somebody
one
right
in-
on it,
there's no one in Seattle.
so they'll get right on it. Oh gosh, it's crazy. That is crazy.
Is Frank working on anything in terms of the mesh?
I haven't talked to him since his knee surgery, so I don't know what he's been up to. Probably just recuperating.
Okay. So, anybody missed any loose ends that we can talk about?
Let me think. Nothing I can think of offhand. I got to get this radio going. Once I get that done and Frank's healed up, we'll get that put up at Mount St. Vincent. I know that the 60 gigahertz link is in, but we have to fine tune the Mount St. Vincent end. It's just a matter of a degree or two, because it says it'll give us another 11 dB of improvement. So on its built-in calculation, it knows. So it just hasn't. It was eyeballed, and
So when that
just
when that
hasn't
comes
been fine-tuned.
when that's working again, how that
It's
affect
working.
it?
It's working. It's just not optimized. I mean, it's
Oh.
working. That brings HamWAN from Beacon over to Mount St. Vincent, so that we have internet connection via HamWAN at Mount St. Vincent into the mesh node there.
Mhm.
So once we get that optimized, it just improves the fade margin. So in bad weather, big
Oh, so it's just a
rain
margin.
burst
for
comes
margin.
through, it'll still have good enough signal. It won't drop down.
Oh,
What?
Let's do a little walk. Uh-oh.
Anyway,
Are you in trouble, Steve?
Yes.
you got to go for a walk, and it's probably a good thing. I mean, it's still decent weather out, so.
Yeah, there's still some sunlight. Okay, well, if we have nothing more to discuss, I guess we can wrap it up and put a bow on it. And since I'll put it up on the YouTube and share it with the list so people can get inspired by all the things we accomplished today here.
All right.
Okay.
And for those that haven't heard, my KX2 arrived last week, so, or
And
2
what
weeks
have you
ago
done?
now. So,
What have you done with it?
I've finally built an end-fed half wave for 40 meters with a little coil on it, so it tunes up on 20 and 15 as well, and close enough on 10 that the auto tuner will work. So, I would have taken it to the radio site today had I known that Ryan was going to go over by Quilcene and do a soda activation. I would have thrown the wire out on a tree or something, tried to work it, but I didn't know, so I didn't take it with me. But I'm still waiting for my carry bag so I can put everything in a nice little carry-along bag.
I wanted to mention that I picked up on the last net from when they talked about a Go box for building Go boxes. I put up as much information as I could and sent it out and put it up on the calendar. So try to get people to start thinking about if they want to build Go boxes and how to go about it.
That's a good winter project when everybody has to be indoors anyway.
Yeah, it starts in September though, I think. September,
Yeah.
October, November. At each of the, you'll tag in with the club meeting.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see what new ideas have come up since the last time we talked about Go boxes.
Yeah, I think just before COVID, right? Anyway.
Hopefully we can get some people back in the groove.
Yes. And speaking of getting in the groove and getting people back together, a week from Saturday is our club picnic down at Alki. So
Right. Yeah.
if you hadn't already heard that, on the 19th, shelter number 1, which is the only shelter in Alki.
It is
I think it's
number
the
one.
cross street's like 62 in Alki. So
Is there a, do you know if there's a bus stop nearby?
there are bus stops along there. I don't know if there's one right at that spot, but usually within a block or two.
Okay, I'll check it out. And there's a sign up sheet too. If you go to the calendar and look it up,
I'm on it.
you can click on it. Steve, are you coming to the barbecue or the picnic? You know,
No, I can't.
can't. Okay. I know Phil can't either. He's too far away.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of a drive for just a couple-hour picnic.
Yep.
Do you, Phil, do you ever come to Seattle or is this way too far off your beating path?
No, it's way too far. I don't travel much right now. May happen in the future, but I'm going through some medical problems that I got to resolve, like bursitis and all that junk.
I think we're all having a little medical problems.
Yeah,
Kind of happens when you start getting older.
it's
No kidding.
it's a constant condition now. Little medical problems. Okay, well,
Like I say, any day you wake up, it's a good day.
any day I can get out of bed is a good day.
Okay.
Okay, guys, thanks for checking in, and hopefully we can drum up some more interest for the coming.
Thanks for your company. Take care.
Okay, guys. This
Hopefully I
is,
have some good news by the next meeting. I promise to get off my, well, now that
Yeah.
we've shut off the analog and things at work are starting to slow down, we're starting to be able to breathe again. I'll have a little more, I won't be so tired when I come home, and I'll have time to do fun stuff again.
Oh, that'll be a good time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I guess we can wrap it up and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
All right. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys.
Good night,
Take care.
guys.